What do we know about the truth, the not truth inside this dossier?
Well, we don't know much about whether these allegations are true or not. In fact, that's a big part of these several investigations going on, both on Capitol Hill and also in the Justice Department with Bob Mueller and his special counsel investigation. And so that is, I think, an open question, whether some of the allegations in the dossier, a lot of the allegations, however, in the dossier sound like, and it sounds like the Clinton campaign believed that they were essentially trumped up, if you pardon the phrase, trumped up charges against Donald Trump by the Russians.
Potentially even made up, is what I've read.
Exactly, and that enough that they thought, the Clinton campaign thought, this was not something they wanted to use. It didn't prevent this dossier from getting out to several media outlets who sat on it for several months, didn't do anything with it. This dossier was out there, the salacious stuff mixed with stuff that I think is an open question about the veracity of it.
So what was the turn point? There's always that tipping point, that turn point where you go from, well, I'm not really going to show it with anybody in the campaign. I might show it to some people in the media, and then suddenly it's on fire.
Well, BuzzFeed released the dossier after the election. This was the decision, an editorial decision that publication made, that this was out there floating around, and so here's what was being floated around. I think different news organizations can make different judgments about whether that was a good call, but once it was out there, it was out there. But the bigger question to me in this, when you go back to the payment, in this Washington Post story, which revealed that Mark Elias was the one who was paying for this, was why did the Democrats lie about this? And they lied pretty boldly and baldly about it for several months until it was revealed actually they did pay Fusion GPS for this dossier.
So when you say lie, the lie that people are focused on right now is not whether or not they paid Fusion GPS, but what they told congressional investigators about what was going on. Because if you lie to Congress, that's not just offensive, it's a crime.
Absolutely. And I will say this, this is the kind of thing that you don't let principals know about for plausible deniability purposes. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if John Podesta, for instance, made this up. Or rather lied to Congress about this. I will say the timeline is also a little murky with Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Remember, it was in the summer, the end of July, I believe, that Debbie Wasserman Schultz was officially moved out of her role in the DNC. So we don't know exactly what they knew. And whether or not it was something that was kept from them so that they would have that plausible deniability. But yes, I agree that is a question that deserves more transparency if they were lying about this to congressional investigators.
This from the president on social media today. He says, and this was a tweet that he put out, it is now commonly agreed after many months of costly looking that there was no collusion between Russia and Trump, was collusion with HC. We assume that's Hillary Clinton. Mark?
Yeah, I think that's a right assumption, but I don't think that this is actually over, or the fact that the Democrats paid for this dossier means that that proves that there's no Russian collusion, that there's no connection between those two. Because again, there are some questions that apparently the FBI was interested in after reading through this dossier and through Christopher Steele's research. It's hard to know sitting here without sort of the full information that the government may know about what details in that dossier are true and what are these bogus things that are trumped up by the Russians. I think a very important thing, Harris, to remember here is through all of these stories, whether it is what Donald Trump Jr. was doing, meeting with some Russian folks in Trump Tower, or what the Clinton campaign was paying for, is that the Russians seem to have a very deep interest in interfering in the 2016 election in any way possible, and that's something that certainly deserves more investigation.
That's an umbrella issue, as you say. We'll look no farther than the former defense secretary under Barack Obama about whether or not you need to open an investigation into the dossier situation and who paid for it, what Hillary Clinton knew, what the DNC knew, and when, than Leon Panetta. That is a very strong statement that we're learning about today. Mike Warren, senior writer with the Weekly Standard, thank you for being here on this Friday.